a massive blue foot steps out. It's the blue monster. It roars, and the bus driver panics, flooring the gas. The bus slams into the car and crashes into a field. The movie begins on a school bus, where we see a young girl named Amber, lost in her own world, drawing in her notebook. A boy sitting in the seat in front of her. A friend who has a habit of teasing her reaches back and snatches the drawing right out of her hands. He probably expected to see something silly, but instead, he's absolutely terrified by what's on the page. Things get serious quickly. The teacher ends up calling Amber's father to the school to show him what she's been sketching. When the father sees it, he's shaken to his core. The drawing shows a monster brutally stabbing a person with a knife. Concerned, the school counselor calls Amber into her office to talk about what's going on inside her head. Amber is honest. She explains that she drew that monster with her friend in mind, the one from the bus, because even though they are friends, he bullies her constantly. The counselor tries to be supportive. She tells Amber that having dark feelings is a normal part of life and that it's much better to put those feelings onto paper than to act them out. She dismisses Amber, but in the rush of leaving, Amber accidentally leaves her strange notebook behind on the desk. That same afternoon, Amber's brother Jack is wandering through the woods. He's looking at his phone when he trips and falls, and his phone flies right into a nearby pond. Jack splashes into the water, grabs the phone, and sees the screen is completely shattered. He sighs and heads home, but a few moments later he looks down and gasps. The phone has miraculously repaired itself. It's perfect, as if it never broke. He can't believe his eyes. That evening, the family sits down for pizza. It's a quiet, heavy atmosphere because we learn that their mother has passed away. The grief is still fresh. Jack starts teasing Amber at the table, and in a flash of anger, Amber loses her cool and smashes his dinner plate. Furious, Jack storms out of the room. Later that night, Amber is alone, drawing with intense focus in a brand new notebook. The next morning, Amber realizes she forgot her notebook in her room just as she's boarding the bus. She calls her dad, begging him to go back and get it for her. He's busy and tells her, "Just leave it for today, honey. You can get it tomorrow." Amber eventually agrees but makes him promise one thing. "Dad, don't look inside." But as soon as he's back in the house, curiosity gets the better of him. He takes a peek. Just then, his sister Amber's aunt walks in unexpectedly, startling him. They start talking about selling the house, a topic that clearly makes the dad uncomfortable. The aunt is firm. She tells him that when buyers come, he needs to stay outside and keep quiet so he doesn't ruin the sale. The dad goes to sit in his car, his mind racing with thoughts about Amber's dark drawings. In his distraction, he spills his coffee all over himself. He panics and rushes back inside to clean up, looking completely flustered. While looking for something to clean with, he starts going through his late wife's things. He finds a dryer, a machine used for drying, and as he digs deeper, he finds the urn containing his wife's ashes and bones. It's a heartbreaking moment. He decides to use the dryer to dry off the notebook he was carrying, but it slips from his hands. This time, he sees everything, every dark, twisted sketch Amber has made. When Amber gets home, she's in trouble at school again, and this time she's even drawn tentacles all over her own hands. Her dad has had enough. He sternly tells her, "Give away all your drawing supplies to someone." Amber realizes he's seen her secret sketches. Heartbroken and angry, she throws her art supplies and locks herself in her room. Meanwhile, Jack finds the pieces of the plate Amber broke earlier and takes them out to that same pond in the woods. Back at the house, Dad goes to check on Amber and is horrified. She has drawn strange, creeping insects all over her walls. Monsters that steal her things like her phone and mug and eventually start stealing parts of her body in the drawings. Later, Dad and Amber are standing outside while the aunt shows the house to a buyer. Dad tries to reach out, saying, "You used to draw such beautiful things." Amber's response is like a punch to the gut, but you always threw them away anyway. Feeling a wave of guilt, Dad runs inside and comes back with a box. It's filled with every single drawing Amber ever made for him. He kept them all. Amber softens, seeing how much he truly cares. She shows him her latest drawing, a macabre, scary piece. He's unnerved, but he does something beautiful. He takes one of her old, happy drawings and pastes it right next to the scary one. "You should keep the good things right alongside the bad," he tells her. But Amber isn't finished. She adds a huge, terrifying blue monster to the page. She tells him, "These aren't just monsters, they are idols." In the woods, Jack watches as the broken plate he threw into the pond is restored to perfect condition. A dark thought enters his mind. What would happen if he brought his mother's ashes here? Amber sees him leaving, grabs her notebook, and follows. She tries to scare him and grab the box of ashes, but during their struggle, the notebook falls into the pond. Jack fishes it out with a stick, but the water starts making a terrifying, gurgling sound. They run away in fear, and when Amber looks at her book, the pages are blank. The drawings are gone. Suddenly, a deep growl echoes from the trees. Jack whispers, "Don't tell Dad," and disappears into the forest. The next morning, at a local shop, the owner finds art supplies scattered everywhere. As she and her coworker call the police, a shadow moves. A creature emerges, and they both run for their lives. The creature slowly picks up a hoodie from a table and puts it on. At home, Dad finds Jack looking shaken and Amber sleeping inside a wardrobe. She says something was tapping on her window all night. Dad finds a strange yellow substance on the glass but ignores it, thinking it's just bird droppings. Jack tries to explain everything to Amber in secret, but Dad overhears. Before they leave for school, Dad tells Jack he can talk to him about anything. Jack finally spills the truth. The pond brings drawings to life. Everything Amber drew is now real and out there. Dad doesn't believe him and sends them to the bus. While cleaning, Dad notices his coffee mug is missing. Inside, the aunt realizes he's taken down all the photos of his late wife. Suddenly, Dad finds the shattered plate from earlier, now perfectly whole. He realizes Jack wasn't lying. On the bus, Amber is terrified by the growling noises outside. Suddenly, the bus stops. A broken car is blocking the road, surrounded by a puddle of blue liquid. Amber sees crayons, the ones she used, literally floating in the air. Then, a massive blue foot steps out. It's the blue monster. It roars, and the bus driver panics, flooring the gas. The bus slams into the car and crashes into a field. The driver is killed instantly. The kids hide under the seats. Amber remembers her drawing. The monster is sensitive to sound but loves music. It will go to sleep if they play a song. Jack tries to get the driver's phone, but the monster rips into the bus and grabs him. Just in time, a student plays music on an iPad. The monster stumbles and falls fast asleep. The kids start to escape, but the song ends and a slow, quiet one starts. The monster wakes up and the nightmare begins again. Back at home, Dad hears a distorted message on his car radio about monsters. He runs inside, following a trail of colored pencils to a closet. He finds his mug, but a small creature is attached to it. It lunges at him, but he manages to smash it with a plate. Meanwhile, the kids are running through the woods. Amber stops. She realizes her annoying friend is still out there, and she had drawn monsters specifically to hunt him. Deep in the forest, the boy is cornered by a glowing yellow and green creature. Then, a massive beast looms over him. He thinks it's blind, but it's just getting its aim right. Jack arrives and grabs the smaller glowing creature, washing it away in the pond. Since Amber drew them as a pair, the big monster vanishes the moment the small one is destroyed. Dad and the aunt arrive at the bus crash. The kids are safe, but Jack and Amber are missing. They head home, hoping the kids went there. Meanwhile, a hoodie monster, the one from the shop, is at the pond, drawing new demons and dropping them into the water. On the road, Dad sees the cat Amber drew. The aunt tries to pet it, but it transforms into a winged beast, splatters them with paint, and hurls their car into the distance before vanishing. The kids decide they need a weapon, so they draw one. While walking, the aunt tells the dad that Amber draws these things because he's trying to erase the memory of her mother. Suddenly, they see a giant bird on a utility pole and run home in terror. Back together, Amber's friend asks, "Why did you want to kill me?" She reminds him of how much he hurt her. Jack readies his brought-to-life weapon. But before they can fight, they are swarmed by idle spider-like monsters. They end up trapped in the house. Jack uses a water gun to fight them off, and Amber manages to wash them away in the bathtub. The family eventually reunites and heads to the forest to end this. Amber trips and cries, and the aunt finally defends her, saying it's good she let her feelings out. They follow a drawn butterfly to a clearing where all the stolen items are piled up next to a sweet painting Amber made as a child. Jack finds the hoodie monster at the pond. He tries to throw a drawing of a weapon into the water, but the monster shreds it. Amber's friend uses a homemade flamethrower to fight off 8 monsters that emerge from the water. A massive monster attacks, but Dad and the ant arrive just in time to kill it. Jack is being strangled by a monster's tongue. Amber tries to draw something to help, but her pen won't work. In desperation, she uses the tentacles on her hands to fight. Jack eventually gets hold of a magical sword and slices the monster in half. Finally, Amber's friend uses a glowing weapon to blast the hoodie monster away. Amber embraces her dad. During the hug, her good drawings fall into the pond. Suddenly, the sky is filled with beautiful, wonderful creatures. The town watches in awe as the good side of her imagination comes to life. At the pond, Jack prepares to scatter his mother's ashes. Dad stops him and gives him the best advice. You have to truly feel the sorrow to be brave. Jack accidentally breaks the box, and the ashes spill into the water. But nothing scary happens. Dad hugs him tight and says, "I'm here for you! I am both your father and your mother!" Amber joins the hug, wrapping her tentacles around them both in a big, strange, loving embrace. Life slowly goes back to normal. The monsters fade, the town heals, and the family is finally whole again. And that is how the story ends.